Hi, my name is Rob Scott from UC Today, and welcome to our first Microsoft Teams news update for 2021. So I'm joined by Tom Arbuthnot, UC Solutions Architect, Microsoft Certified Master, and MVP. Welcome, Tom. How's things?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, lockdown 3 in the UK, so a bit exciting on that front. But yeah, generally life is good.
Good man, good man. You had a good Christmas?
Yeah, it was really nice actually. Really chilled out family time, which was well needed after last year.
Indeed. Well, here we are again, another year ahead. Lots likely to happen on the Microsoft Teams front. I think I even saw Jeff Taper tweet something, and also I think he posted on LinkedIn about 2021 being the big year for Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, I think there were some big articles on it as well. The FT had a big article about how Microsoft are really focused on it. Obviously, it continues to be front of mind for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots happening. So we've got an interesting episode today for our followers. So we said we'd talk about Microsoft Teams predictions. So to warm up the year, we thought we'd kick off by reaching out to some of our community and asking them what they predict is going to happen in the world of Microsoft Teams this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. We've reached out to various different people who all have good feelers and opinions in the space, and it's much more fun to talk about other people's predictions than to make your own, because you can't be wrong.
Indeed. So a quick disclaimer that there might have been a little bit too much mulled wine drunk across the Christmas period. So beware, not all these predictions are going to come true, but we hope you do enjoy them. Let's see what's up first. And we've got Randy Chapman from Symity.
Hey, it's Randy from UC Status. I've been asked to record a bit of a prediction here for what's coming up in Teams, and mine is focused on work from home. As the UK enters into its next nationwide lockdown, I think the next big thing for Teams will be stuff to help with the work from home scenario, specifically for meetings. This could be vendors creating specific hardware for making meetings at home a little better, or it could just be a mode change to change from a more of a meeting room space into a more personal mode or personal space.
Tom, what did you think to that?
Yeah, first prediction from Randy. I think that's bang on. So I'm talking to lots of companies who are trying to make work from home better for their employees. Now it's long term. And I'm also seeing budget free up for better work from home kit. And to be honest, there's a gap in the market for high end but suitable for home working. So I think things like some of the premium brands you see in the kind of consumer space maybe getting more and more into work from home, dedicated units, so like video collaboration units being more popular because it's just there, it just works. And yeah, we've seen lots around trying to get optimal video as well. So things like auto framing you see on some of the Huddly cameras. I think Poly do it too. More of that coming through in the home space as well. I think that's a good prediction.
Fantastic. Okay, so number 2, we've got Ducks Raymond from AvePoint.
Happy New Year. My one prediction for Microsoft Teams in 2021, it's taking advantage more of the AI capabilities through the power of Azure. Imagine through cognitive services, if it's able to detect if somebody's happy based on facial expression or the tone of voice, or on the other end of the spectrum, if somebody's upset or sad. This can provide better feedback to the meeting organizer, or even better, if you're doing a presentation, it can tell you if the audience is liking it or not. Is that cool?
It is very cool. I love that prediction. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean that is Microsoft's kind of superpower in this space, if you like, is they've got the Azure cloud, they've got the clout to do some of those clever AI, ML type things. It's a balancing act because people are super nervous about Big Brother and reporting. I mean, we saw a big pushback recently on things like workplace analytics reporting on how people are using tools. So it's a real tightrope for Microsoft between leveraging this tech for what could be really powerful, useful, abilities for end users, and people feeling like they're stepping over the mark in terms of what they're reporting on. But yeah, no doubt Microsoft will continue to make use of that massive AI muscle in collaboration.
Yeah, so let's have a look at number 3. So we've got Kieller from enableUC.
My three predictions for Microsoft Teams in 2021. Number one, we will see organizations continue to adopt Teams at a rapid pace, reaching over 150 million daily active users by the end of the year. Number two, more organizations will accept Teams as an enterprise-grade PBX by adding PSTN connectivity, lots of it through direct routing as a hosted service. And with this, there will be a lot more headsets deployed than desk phones. And number three, businesses will start to understand and leverage the rich analytics in Teams and Office 365 to drive positive business outcomes.
Not one, not two, but three predictions from Kevin.
Yeah. You can always rely on Kevin for an opinion, right?
Absolutely, and three fantastic predictions. What do you think?
Yeah, the DAU number going up, I think that's very likely, not just because the virus continues to cause issues, but just generally the whole hybrid work from home seems to have set in globally more than ever before. So that I definitely would back. PSTN connectivity, 1,000%. Like we've seen, the most of the team's growth in 2020 was online meetings. And now we're seeing a catch up whereby people are like, well, if I'm using it for online meetings, how difficult is it to add a phone number? So yes, I think there'll be lots and lots of PSTN connectivity, lots of legacy PBXs that are frankly sitting gathering dust right now, just decommed, save the maintenance cost there. The analytics thing is interesting. Like Modality, we do a lot of analytics reporting. We're seeing peaking that. I think the thing for 2021 analytics will be making the most of these platforms, dealing with kind of like the whole collaboration fatigue type scenarios, and making sure people are not just doing online meetings and then dropping back to email, but doing real collaboration. But yeah, some good suggestions from Kevin there.
Super. So number 4, we've got Matt Landis from Landis Technologies.
I'm Matt Landis with Landis Technologies, and one of the predictions I would make about Microsoft Teams in 2021 is that the voice and video APIs will reach critical mass. And that means that internal development teams and ISVs will be able to create all those voice and video applications that customers need to really migrate to Microsoft Teams. So ISVs will be bringing things like contact center, self-service call flows, call recording, and other solutions will be able to do that.
Good prediction from Matt there. Rightly so, he's in a pretty good position, I suppose, to make that prediction. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, Matt's one of my go-to people for where the APIs are and what are going on. Landis do a lot in this space. Yeah, I think it has to come. It hasn't come as fast as we all hoped, I think, is one of the things from 2020 is the APIs are there, they keep evolving, but things like attendant console and tight contact center integration, that definitely needs to come in 2021, mainly to round out the voice story.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, number 5, we got Neil Fluester from Poly. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hey everyone, at UC today, I'm Neil Fluester from Poly, and my predictions for 2021 on Microsoft Teams are that the Android and the Windows platform are going to get very much closer together with regards to the feature set in the meeting room. They've already increased the portfolio to make it not just collaboration bars, but the MTR for Android with the inclusion of the G7500, which they announced at Ignite. And I'd love to see more of the feature set from the Windows platform coming onto the Android platform so that customers can have a mixed estate between their huddle rooms, their large rooms, and some of their boardrooms with a mixture of different devices.
Well, I suppose it had to be an endpoints prediction from...
It was going to be Kit, wasn't it? It had to be Kit from Neil.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft have said this is coming, the rebrand from Collaboration Bar to Microsoft Teams Rooms for Android. They're clearly trying to bring those platforms closer together. But to Neil's point, there are some real differences still between the Windows MTRs and the Android MTRs. There's definitely a market push to hit the lower price point and then the ease of use on Android in terms of maintenance and support and stuff. So yeah, I think pushed by other vendors using Android as well, there'll be definitely more Android with more features in the Microsoft space.
Great stuff. So number 6, we've got Patrick Watson from Cavell Group. Let's see what he's got to say.
So I'm going bold and probably wrong with my prediction. 2020 was a big year for Microsoft in terms of acquisitions, and I think the theme is likely to continue into 2021. And the area of Microsoft's portfolio with the biggest gaps is in the customer experience sphere. So I think we might see Microsoft acquire someone in this area, maybe one of the emerging CCaaS players, so they can use some of that expertise, add the solutions to Azure as a service, integrate capabilities into Teams and Dynamics 365.
An interesting prediction from Patrick at Cavell. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. So customer experience CX is all about kind of trying to map the whole customer journey. And if you look at the things Microsoft have got, they've got Teams for communication, they've got Exchange for email, they've got Dynamics for CRM. They've got all the data pretty much, but they don't bring it together in a nice format. And they've got the APIs on those different platforms. So it would definitely be an interesting move to acquire somebody who's put some work into that space and suddenly add it to the stack.
Absolutely. And hot on the heels of Patrick's prediction, we've got Blair Pleasant, who makes a couple of predictions, but as you'll see, one is very similar to one we've just heard. So let's have a listen.
Hi, this is Blair Pleasant of COMMfusion. I've been expecting and predicting this for years, and it still hasn't happened, but maybe 2021 will be the year. I predict that Microsoft will acquire a contact center vendor so it can offer its own contact center and customer experience capabilities. This will mean competing with many of its partners, but as contact center becomes a more critical part of an overall business communication solution, I expect to see Microsoft finally move into this area. This prediction may be kind of out there, but many of us expect the next stage of video conferencing to include virtual reality. And who better than Microsoft to bring video conferencing to life with virtual reality capabilities and devices? Virtual reality will enhance the user experience, making a two-dimensional meeting experience become three-dimensional. And that's one way to overcome meeting fatigue, and I expect Microsoft to move into this area.
Yeah, contact center is really interesting. Amazon are doing a great job of winning in the contact center space on AWS, so that's definitely going to apply some competitive pressure. Microsoft have never seemed right back from the Skype days to want contact center. They've got their Azure communications service platform, so maybe they could build something with that tech, or maybe they could acquire. But as Blair says, we've expected it for ages and it hasn't happened. So it'll be interesting to see if they change their mind and get into that first party space, or if they keep saying it's a partner play.
And Blair's second prediction was VR or mixed reality, extended reality, whatever we want to call it. Microsoft are perfectly positioned to bring HoloLens, I suppose, into the collaboration space. What do you think?
Yeah, it's another one of those ones where you think about the things they've got. They've got HoloLens. They actually own a thing called AltSpace VR, which is a online meetings platform that is virtual reality already. Uses Oculus, I think, primarily. So yeah, it's a space I would expect them to push into, if nothing else, just for the marketing and kind of Wall Street aspect of it. If you're being pushed into that space, you're really leaving competitors behind in terms of where you see the market going. I'd love to see something in that space. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah, me too. Okay, next up we got Ståle Hansen. He's got a great prediction. Let's have a watch.
Hey, Ståle Hansen here. And my prediction for 2021 for Microsoft Teams is that all meetings must have an online component. Why? It is because we have been gotten used to having online meetings now and have the freedom to choose where we want to have the meeting, either in the office or at home or at the cabin or where we are. Because it doesn't make sense to travel just to have an in-person meeting for 1 hour. Make sure all your meetings have an online component.
Seems like an obvious one, Tom, but I think it's a really good prediction that most meetings should have an online element. What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It definitely feels like an obvious one, and yet it's not the reality in lots of big enterprises still. I mean, it's been forced to be, but it does feel like this whole, again, overused phrase, but hybrid working will mean that is the default. I think Microsoft have just released an update where you can set Outlook to always schedule with Teams. So every meeting you click, you don't have to click new meeting, then Teams. It's just a Teams meeting. I'd love to see that because I think it respects people's time and location and everything else. So yeah, hopefully we'll see that become a more cultural default, not just a technical one.
Absolutely. So next up, number 9, we've got Steve Goodman from Content and Cloud. Let's see what he's got to say.
Teams is undoubtedly going to keep on growing in 2021, and I expect that organisations who bought it will need to begin making best use of that investment. So I'm expecting a doubling down in Teams governance, those controls that make sure Teams channel chat functionality doesn't spin out of control, with some forward fixing and pre-planned governance work to be undertaken. And setting up for the hybrid workplace. We aren't all going back into offices come the spring, and people might only go back in 2 or 3 days a week. And people on the road, or those on the front line, they'll be used to using Teams meetings rather than travelling into HQ. So I would expect to see wider adoption of Microsoft Teams Rooms and more functionality arrive in both the Windows and Android room solutions.
Great, a couple of predictions there, Tom. Governance and hybrid working, what do you think?
Yeah. So aligning with Neil on the rooms being bigger, I think that's definitely a thing. It'll be interesting to see how much big enterprises invest in rooms while we're unsure about this hybrid working scenario, but definitely new tech in rooms is going to be a thing. But the governance one, 1,000% agree with that. There's been lots of get it out there, get people working, where Teams has been pushed through very fast with the defaults for all the governance. And I think there's going to be a revisit now for people are working at home, what devices are they using, where are the files all protected, encrypted. There's a lot of data in Teams, more than any other UC platform, because it's a collaboration platform. So I think a revisit of governance will be on the cards for lots of enterprises.
Indeed. Okay, number 10, we've got Graham Walsh from Crestron. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hi, it's Graham here at Crestron, and my predictions for Microsoft Teams for 2021 is the evolution and expansion of the workspace. By that I mean meeting rooms. So what we'll want to see when we go to rooms is hands-free action. So for example, Cortana, start my meeting. So we don't have to touch that shared controller. And then have things like sensors in the ceiling, so that'll turn the lights on, maybe adjust the blinds. So having more automation in meeting spaces so we can have this clean environment to do our meetings in. That's my prediction for 2021.
And a very good one from Graham there, Crestron. I think he's hit the nail on the head. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, definitely. We've been involved in lots of conversations about COVID-safe workplaces, and minimising touch and minimising interaction is definitely a thing. The Cortana one is super interesting. Microsoft are starting to do that, but they only have Cortana in certain markets. So I'm curious how Microsoft are going to get around being a global player in the space, but their voice tech only being enabled in certain markets, and how they explain that to global orgs. So it's definitely a demanded idea, and with things like Google Home and Alexa in the home, people are used to that kind of interaction. But how can Microsoft provide that globally is an outstanding question.
Interesting. Let's see. Anyway, number 11, we've got David Dungay, our editor-in-chief at UC Today. He's going to talk to us a little bit about his channel prediction for 2021. Here we go.
What will 2021 bring? Well, I think we're going to see a big push to channel partners who are solely selling Microsoft Teams or Microsoft services. Why? Well, the opportunity around direct routing or native integration, and that is putting voice into a Microsoft Teams application, is going to be too great. Microsoft have provided the channel with 115 million daily active users to go after to add voice services to. That is a huge opportunity. At supplier level, there's going to be a big race to differentiate those Teams offerings for the market. If you are a small outfit with highly specialized Microsoft skills, you're going to be in demand in 2021. You may even be a hot prospect for acquisition as we see those suppliers and vendors looking for that differentiation.
And a good set of predictions from David there, and certainly one that we've even seen this week as we're recording this, Tom. A Microsoft Teams house, Symity, has been acquired by a larger comms group. What do you think to David's predictions?
Yeah, I think the demand's definitely going to be there. So we've seen, like Kevin's prediction, lots of people are going to want to do voice enabling teams. So that's the thing. As you say, Symity have been acquired. It's going to be a hot market for bigger SIs trying to have a genuine muscle in this space because Teams is so prevalent. Only Teams is interesting because Teams ties into so much of Office 365. I think it's hard to be a Teams partner without understanding identity, security, compliance, that kind of thing. And that's really the challenge, is bringing together those real niche voice skills and a wider understanding of M365. But yeah, I think there's a massive opportunity for niche players to absolutely nail that space and just go around enabling lots of big enterprises for sure.
Yeah, indeed. And last but by no means least, we have Christian Buckley.
Hey, this is Christian Buckley. 3 predictions for the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. One, I've always been a huge advocate of the task alignment. I love what Microsoft is doing. I think, especially in 2021, we're going to see a tighter alignment of task management across Microsoft 365. And that's both the whether you're using Azure DevOps or Project Online or Planner, that you're going to see all the tasks that are assigned, even if you're creating tasks in Outlook or OneNote, that you're going to see all of those things reflected so that they show up in Planner and or within To-Do. But likewise, I think the major difference that we're going to start seeing that needs to be there is that the two-way integration, so that if a task is assigned in Azure DevOps or Project Online and it's showing up in your To-Do, that when your status change of that task happens, when you complete a task, that it's reflected back up into that system. So that's a fundamental change I think is going to be coming. I think that we're going to see even deeper partner integrations in with Teams. So rather than having to go through the kind of the clunky interface of the communication bots within Teams, that you're going to see partner solutions that are going to be more deeply integrated and directly into the status of end users, so that you're going to get a more personalized, more deeply integrated solution for that user experience inside of Teams. So whether that's going to be vertical solutions, industry type solutions, that you'll just be able to go in, subscribe to, and be able to configure and personalize that experience, and it'll just become embedded and become like a native experience within Teams rather than go through those chat bots. And then the third thing is I think that there's going to be a re-architecture. This is a big prediction. Re-architecture of the chat. I think that the chat capability in Teams and Yammer or wherever chat shows up, that it will become a unified platform. That needs to happen. And I think that we're finally going to see something that direction in 2021.
Again, not one, not two, but
no. Christian's another person you can rely on for an opinion, definitely.
We got 3 big ones there. So tighter alignment of tasks in Teams, deeper partner integrations, and a complete re-architecture of chat by the sounds of things. So what do you think to that, Tom?
Yeah, so I think that the tighter integration with partners and tighter integration with other Microsoft properties, if you like, things like To-Do and DevOps and Planner, that definitely makes sense. Microsoft are trying to get Teams to be more than just UC and collab within Teams. It's about your whole workflow, your window to the work world. So bringing other apps in makes sense. And Microsoft clearly are pushing for partner, products, things like Trello and Salesforce and anybody else that wants to get involved to be deeply integrated into Teams. So that I think is a good prediction. And I'd love to see Microsoft's own things like Azure DevOps. We use that every day. Working more tightly with Teams would be super useful. Then he rounds out with a massive prediction of realigning or re-architecting chat. I think he mentioned Yammer there. There's definitely a weird overlap between Yammer and Teams. Yammer's getting more tightly integrated into Teams now. It has a great first-party app, but it's hard to explain to typical users where Team stops and where Yammer starts. It's easy in massive multi-hundreds of thousands orgs, because like, here's your enterprise social platform, here's your teams. But when you get below that, they feel so similar, it's hard to explain what fits where. So I think some kind of rationalization or re-architecture would be interesting there.
Fantastic. So we've had 12 people contribute predictions this year. Thank you so much for getting involved. You got some great insights there, and if some of those come off, I think we're in for a very, very interesting year indeed. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've got some interesting opinions from interesting people there. We'll have to revisit at the end of the year and see who made the most bang-on prediction, or what everybody's predictions are for the 2022 as well. But yeah, really enjoyed that. Thanks everybody for contributing, and looking forward to this year. Absolutely. And so, just on a side note, I'd like to give before we leave today, a quick shout out to COMMverse. So COMMverse has partnered up with UC Today this year for a series of 4 micro events across 2021. So the first event we've got is on February the 10th, and you can register for that at ucsummit.com or on the COMMverse website. If you do, just jump on the website. We'll put a link in the description as well. But we've got some cracking sessions lined up, including burnout, working effective remotely, making collaboration work in your team, and the modern office, and making virtual meetings more engaging. So there's a whole bunch of sessions from a whole bunch of great speakers. So do have a look on. It's a free event. All you need to do is register and carve a little bit of time out in your calendar for the event, because it won't be available. Some of the sessions won't be available after the event. So do jump on and have a look at it. Certainly worth a bit of time, I think. Yeah, there's some great speakers there. COMMverse are really strict about who they have speaking on what, and it's real experts. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and that's it from us. So I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks, Tom. Good to see you. Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, let's talk next month, and next month we'll get into the actual news again and what's going to go on. So yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, we'll be back again next month with your Microsoft Teams monthly news update. Thanks for watching.